Welcome. My name is Christopher Peter and I am a political economist providing a common-sense perspective on salient current events. In this episode, I am going to give my thoughts on the battle of the chicken tenders. Mostly, the fast casual approach to fast food. Of course, we are going to talk about sports and why New York should get away with bad fan behavior. Finally, we will discuss wages and why people should not be jealous. So, let us begin our diverse discussion of issues in another special episode of the review. Not usually a fan of trends in the food industry. The market for fast food has grown over the years, as the move from completely assembly line low-quality meals designed for quick turnaround time are being replaced with fast casual style, which is better quality meals that are faster than a formal sit-down restaurant and close enough to the convenience of a true fast food place. The key to the fast casual style restaurant is having a simple menu that allows staff to process orders quickly with little complexity. Fast food restaurants have relatively large menus with customization, but it can be made quickly because the food inputs are produced to cook or reheat quickly. In contrast, the fast casual needs to produce food that feels like a quality meal but in a manner that can still have quick throughput. Recently, I visited two chains built on the fast casual model that have expanded the market for takeout chicken meals by focusing on selling chicken tenders or chicken fingers meals. Each offers simple menus that are not really customizable besides the size of the drinks, which is far from a bottleneck. At least you would think. The typical competition for fast food chicken was usually in fried chicken with national brands like KFC and Popeyes, and regional brands like Church's Chicken or Roy Rogers. For my fellow Filipinos, I will include Jollibee to the list. All good options for chicken takeout. But these chains focus on fried chicken. They offer chicken tenders, but their brands are not centered on them. Now, the fast food or fast casual market has expanded with the growth of the popularity of the chicken tender or chicken fingers, which is not really biologically accurate. But many consumers are drawn back into the chicken takeout market with the offerings for chicken tenders. Raising Cane's is centered around them, and Dave's Hot Chicken has their well-known take on them. Raising Cane's and Dave's Hot Chicken offer sandwiches as well, but the focus really is on the tender meals. Now, I have seen these two chains before, but never were near them when I was looking for a meal. Usually I just noticed them in passing without a need at the moment to try them. My first venture was visiting a relatively new Raising Cane's location in northern New Jersey recently, near a gym I attend, so I decided to give that one a try. I decided to place my first order through their website. I was worried about going inside a location and staring at a menu trying to decide what to get with an impatient teen as the cashier. So, I decided that I would place my first order online for in-store pickup. The location has a drive-through option as well. Looks similar to the prototypical fast food joint in setup and seating, except with their branding. Keep in mind that the whole business strategy is supposed to be quick delivery of meals that are better quality than you normally receive at a fast food establishment. Maybe I just came on a bad night, but the customer experience did not match up well with the strategic vision. Like every online customer, my order was not ready when I arrived and needed to be replaced nearly a half hour after the pickup time. To be fair, the online order customers were not experiencing this unique treatment. There were in-store customers waiting for half an hour and had to give a receipt to get their orders expedited. So, the concept did not match the reality of what you experienced at that location. I thought it might just be a bad night, but online reviews seems to confirm that for that location, it was the norm. Now, new store locations can take time to reach the norm for the chain. There is a rush of interest, and once it gets to what should be a stable and normal flow, it may operate more efficiently. Customers do not like inconvenience, but will tolerate it if the product or service is of good enough quality to offset the experience. For me, I ordered just a basic combo with an upgrade for a larger size drink. The quality of the meal was not bad. The tenders were good enough, better than what you may get from a traditional chain, but same as you may get from a local restaurant. The cane sauce was good. The fries were just regular for crinkle-cut fries. I wanted to try a competitor a few days later for comparison, so I went to a Dave Hot Chicken in the same general area. Dave Hot Chicken also does the fast casual model, but its niche is that it offers spicy chicken tenders, along with the standard tenders. Its menu was similarly limited as well. May have a bit more customization with the sauces and spice levels, but it meets the same vision for fast casual. I chose the mini sliders meal with fries and got a large drink as well. Same with Raising Cane's. I placed my order online for in-store pickup, and this was a completely different experience. The staff were very courteous to everyone that walked in the door. Greetings upon arrival and demonstrate great manners and noticeable professionalism. Also, New Jersey is a smoke-free state for restaurants and most establishments. Raising Cane's seemed to not care that there was smoking of all kinds taking place. Dave Hot Chicken was orderly, extremely clean, and a place that invites you back. Again, I could have just experienced a better day for them and a bad day for Raising Cane's. Both meals were at the exact same time of day, just different days. I would give Raising Cane's another try at some point, but I would prefer to try Dave Hot Chicken again first. The quality of offerings and uniqueness pushes it over Raising Cane's in my opinion. I am tempted to try the extra hot spicy option. I did the regular hot spicy option. Setting aside the experience difference, I think the competitive advantage of having spicy tenders is of greater interest for me. While being a trillionaire is an insane amount of money, it still should not be triggering to anyone else. I am not sure just why so many people have strong emotions about the amount of money that other people make, especially when they have no real concept of what that person does, the skills that they may uniquely hold, and their individual life story. In reality, none of us are paid exclusively because of our life story, skill set, or job responsibility. People are compensated based on the combination of the quality of output, reputation, productiveness, and connection to the consumer of produced goods, service, or other work product that is willing to exchange money or value for that. Compensation is derived from supply and demand. How many people can supply what you provide to your employer or other prospective employers? What is the value they gain from it that they will be willing to pay for exclusive access to you? If you look around the room at your place of employment and you truly feel that anyone in sight can do what you do without skipping a beat, then you are not well positioned for income mobility. That is not an issue of generational theft, systemic racism, or bias. It is a result of not developing competitive advantages that make you perceived as more desirable to employers. Rather than reading about billionaires and trillionaires and feeling emotional about their lifestyles compared to yours, take the time to see what makes them unique in their space and how they were able to develop that brand and monetize it. Why do investors feel more comfortable doing business with them than you? Maybe they have a better network? What have you done to grow your network and sphere of influence? Are you a member of a professional network in your field? Are you attending conferences and events to meet people and decision makers? What are you doing inside your company's own walls to help people know your work product, quality, and ambitions? Many times we do not do enough. A major reason why entrepreneurs succeed at high growth rates is because they understand that they cannot fear failure. They have to fear not trying more than failing, because they understand that there is a valuable lesson in every failure, but many consequences of not even attempting to pursue every potential opportunity. They may do cost-benefit analysis, but may be more risk-preferred if the perceived payoff is high and will not talk themselves out of it. Successful people understand the potential outcomes and are prepared to deal with the realization of each one, even if they really want to avoid certain ones. And they do not blame others for their outcomes, but push themselves to do better to give decision-makers, partners, or consumers a better reason to say yes instead of no. What generally makes a great salesperson is not simply being able to get a person to say yes, but not accepting a no, and making the conversion an experience that is pleasing to the person they want to earn business from. Sometimes that pursuit may not land the yes, but can plant the seed for a future opportunity. A person may see the outcomes as simply a yes and they get to keep their job, or a no and they now have to work harder to find another yes elsewhere. Another person may see the situation as sacrificing today for a brighter tomorrow, playing the long game versus seeking quick, fleeting short-term wins. Successful people tend to try to find value, not just revenue. Are process-focused rather than solely result-focused. Rather than just earning one more day at your organization, how do you create streams of successes that provide stable returns? Stop seeing everything as obstacles and injustices and see them as opportunities. Support protecting opportunity, because those protections could benefit you if you make the right moves.
There is a level of economic illiteracy in our society that fuels the hysteria around wage disparities in our economy. An entrepreneur will generally have a greater return on their labor than a lifelong employee. And that does not mean that the workers are being exploited, underpaid, or a victim. In America, people generally work in positions they accept the terms for employment. They look for a job, apply for that position, interview, receive an offer, and accept, counter, or reject that offer. People are not assigned positions like what is done in communist and socialist economies. Certain positions that have less available competition or specialized skill sets will always pay more than ones that do not. And business owners will always have opportunities to earn more while having a greater risk to not earn anything at all. The reason why many people try to compete with companies in industries that they have experience with is because they understand the difference between being an owner of a fairly run business and an employee. The owners will always have the better outcomes, despite the greater risks and stress, because they receive the net income. So you can pay your workers what is statistically fair market wages or a bit more, manage your other costs, and invest in your growth and future and still have a good amount left over. The goal of every business, large, medium, or small, is to operate as efficiently and effectively as possible and grow the customer base as much as possible. Customers have a need or want that is made by that business and willingly exchange part of their hard-earned income for the good or service produced. Good-run companies are able to earn profits and the business owners keep that profit and invest some of it back into the business. Just because you work in that company does not mean you are entitled to more than what was agreed upon for employment. Sure, there will be natural efforts by workers to seek to revisit their wages based on their record of accomplishment and contribution to the profit and business success. But not every employee actually contributes to the success every year. Some years, they may be a contributor more to the negative than the positive. In some fields, workers eventually decide they want to be on the ownership side and decide to start their own operations. If successful, they will be able to access similar benefits and not be limited to the salary afforded to their position. That is income mobility through entrepreneurship. Some may experience income mobility by taking their record, experience, and proven skills set to the highest bidder with a better position. Income mobility through arbitrage. There are always ways to improve your income, and business owners will always have the potential to earn more if the company does well. They bear all the risks and strategic operations. But because their take is not limited as their risk is not limited. The better they run the organization, the greater their income will be. Not a factor of greed. Simply a difference being an owner retaining the net income and an employee with a defined compensation.
Many people unfortunately allow emotions to fill in gaps created by intellectual shortcomings. Does anyone really believe that a company operates like a pack of wolves where they divide the spoils of a hunt? Only if the company is formed as a partnership and everyone has a defined percentage of net income. Otherwise, you get paid your prescribed salary or income. As long as the check does not bounce, what do you really care about what happens outside of that transaction? As long as the company is solvent and compliant with laws and regulations, meaning as long as the company is still able to pay your salary going forward. Jealousy and greed make you feel like what someone else is getting paid is somehow unjust, when you are getting paid what you negotiated and what you are entitled to. The emotional hysteria blinds us from seeing the absurdity of some of the claims, especially when you look at income data for striking workers, and many times these poor souls who claim oppression and a whole host of other unproven claims are actually making pretty good money, or are far from being oppressed. $1 trillion is an insane amount of money. But it is actually fair in the sense that the value and potential future of SpaceX is tied to Elon Musk and his personal brand. His genius and innovation is a major part of the value proposition that investors see in placing capital in this company. There are certain people that drive up the valuation of the company simply because of association with them. Elon Musk is one of those people, and your goal in life should be to do the same. Are you a value add to your company? If not, then work to be.
The New York Knicks pulled off a major upset. It was not that long ago that national and local New York sports media pundits treated the New York Knicks like a punching bag, highlighting the great level of dysfunction that was clear and obvious. For quite some time, they gave no reason for fans to trust them, and no reason to support a team owner who has made some decisions that many despised. The San Antonio Spurs pulled off a major upset in their own right by defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champions. So, the basketball elite used the time-honored media principle of transference to determine the Spurs would win. The Spurs would have won if they could have held a lead besides Game 3. They had double-digit leads in every game, and gave those leads up in every game but one. The Knicks got hot when it mattered most. That is usually a good recipe for success in any sport. Congratulations to them. But we condemn their fans for the horrible behaviors throughout the series. The egging of Wemby was despicable, as well as the attacks on Spurs fans should not be overlooked. New Yorkers are a mix of some of the most upstanding people in America and some of the lowest forms of life in the world. It is only fair to hold their fans accountable when they make mistakes. I will admit, the World Cup is more interesting than the Olympics. I enjoy soccer a great deal. I have discussed before how I support Real Madrid and Manchester City. But, I was discussing with a friend recently and I stated the Olympics should be more interesting because there are more sports available and the overall medal tracker makes it something to follow from opening to closing ceremonies. Now, I have always been a fan of the World Cup. Love to see the clashes between national teams with historic success in the event that rarely play each other. But, I think this year being in the nation that is really hosting it, I think it is even more special. I recently lost a family member who back in the last American-hosted World Cup gave me a soccer ball that celebrated the 1994 World Cup. I recall watching the final with Brazil defeating Italy in a penalty shootout. Fast forward to now, I am watching hoping that America will shock the world and win the biggest prize in soccer. But if they do not, maybe Brazil can capture its 6th trophy, but they need to play better than they did in their opening match. The Americans played well and dominated, but Brazil clearly played with nerves given the weight that they always enter the event with. The beautiful style of soccer they play with was not really evident against Morocco, who were close many times to pulling off the upset. Morocco is not a bad team, but Brazil is the better team. Games like this are what makes the World Cup so exciting. There are no consolation prizes like there are in the Olympics. Your national team either meets expectations or they have to deal with questions for the next 4 years. There are no distractions from the outcome. Unless you are in the final game and hold the trophy, nothing else matters. The event is a great one to host during our celebration of our 250 years of existence. Hopefully the world will see why America is so special and will be inspired to embrace freedom, democracy, and opportunity in their societies. What a fight night. What a great birthday for our president, securing an end to the Iran conflict and then hosted an amazing historic event at the White House. I am a huge UFC fan, but was a bit skeptical about the event at the White House. I thought it was a great idea, but not sure how well it actually would play out, especially with all the opinions out there. I was wrong. It was a great event to watch and it more than lived up to the hype. There is no doubt that it will be a memorable night and event in the history of the UFC and mixed martial arts overall, and any combat sport. Every fight was a finish for the first time in history. And what a main event! A major upset with Justin Gaethje winning despite being a major underdog to an undefeated champion. One who was so arrogant to believe he would win in the first round. But, on this special night, on this special American celebration, the American spirit was embodied by Justin to win the undisputed title finally. Football players need to leave the hits on the field. There have been a considerable number of bad headlines for the National Football League with prominent members of teams that are expected to be in contention facing criminal charges over violence against women. Now, I am a big proponent of connecting an employer with the private misdeeds of employees. Many companies have employees that make similar mistakes. But I think it may be important for teams to reinforce the need for players to understand that they live and operate in a different world than the rest of society, and that they need to behave as such to maintain that privilege. It seems like some believe their notoriety and fame affords them the right to shirk responsibility for their actions. There are certain actions that you can be forgiven for or may be downplayed, but domestic violence really is never one that anyone will treat like a speeding ticket, nor should they ever. Giving 20-year-olds generational money when they may lack maturity to handle what comes with it can be a challenge. From a position of self-preservation, their choices now will at the very least expose them to loss of income or transfer of their hard-earned wealth because of a moment of anger. There are plenty of compatibility issues when you are young and you believe you may be in love and it turns out that you are not. But you have to handle situations better and ensure that you do not harm yourself or others, especially when there are young children that now have to deal with the visions that will shape how they view their parents going forward. Violence in all its forms does not have a place in society, but the sad and unfortunate reality is that people make mistakes, especially those of low moral standing or people that feel like they are immune to consequence. Money can buy a lot of things, but it has shown that it struggles to overcome domestic violence accusations.
In closing, I think we need to elevate our economic discussion away from class warfare and division to focus more on the growth of opportunity, income mobility, and economic freedom. The people that are pitting one group against another are simply creating a contentious argument with the hope that they can fuel government coffers that will be diverted to their special projects. The argument for higher taxes is ignorant of the fact that the rich already pay a higher share of taxes and far more of the total tax share. Most importantly, there is no benefit to the average person. America has spent more on poverty programs, healthcare, and education without consistent improvements. Poverty is still at the same level. That is because socialist economics does not work. Create an environment with opportunity, then you see an elevation in the condition of American communities. When you subsidize problems, you just get more of it. When you allow people to innovate and benefit from being entrepreneurial, you get a better society. Economies that turn to markets are better. We will have a special episode on Friday, discussing the divergent economic visions in our current politics. The Socialist Democrats versus the Free Market Republicans. Thank you for experiencing this episode of the Christopher Peter Review. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. Please follow the Christopher Peter Review on social media and continue to visit www.crcreview.com for new episodes. Thank you once again. Until next time.